Okay, we now move on to the last part about latitude. So how does latitude affect the temperature of locations? First things first, we now need to understand what does latitude mean. Latitude are horizontal lines that run across the entire Earth, okay? And this is the distance of any point on the Earth measured north and south from the equator. They are imaginary horizontal lines running from east to west. It is the most important factor affecting the temperature of locations. That's why we save the best for the last. So you can see over here, where do you think Singapore is when we look at latitude? If you sit around the equator, that is right. We are just down, maybe about a few degrees down up north of the equator. Now, latitude itself is a very important factor because it affects how much sunlight that actually reaches the different points of the Earth itself. Now, what you will see over here, the point is temperature is higher in the equator and temperature is lower at the poles. Over here, this correctly highlights this view, where over here at latitude, we look at the temperature. Temperature ranges to about 20 plus to 30 plus degrees Celsius, but if we go towards the South Pole, temperature ranges in between 0 to 10 degrees, even up to minus 10. At the North Pole, you got temperatures even below negative 10 all the way up to about 10 degrees Celsius. Now, reason why is this? Very simple. The Earth itself is not actually straight. The Earth itself is rotating slightly off the axis itself, and as it rotates around the sun, you have different amounts of sunlight hitting the Earth at any single point of time. This is why we have both summer and winter in certain parts of the world. In Singapore, you don't really see that, and I'll explain more why right now. This is the reason why. At the equator itself, the sun is striking at a very high angle incidence. What does angle incidence mean? It means that how the sunlight actually hits the Earth itself. The higher the angle of incidence, the sun rays are more concentrated, and this results in a higher temperature. So it is much hotter consistently all around the year in between the Tropic of Cancer and the equator. That means within this specific area. So because the heat itself is concentrated in this small area. That is why Singapore is very hot all the time. Malaysia is also very hot all the time. This brings us to the next point. At the poles itself, at the North Pole and South Pole, what you have is a very low angle of incidence. What it means, as the sun rays hit the North Pole and the South Pole, there's a very low angle incidence. That means the solar energy, instead of if we compare the equator and the North Pole, what you'll notice in the equator, it's concentrated over a small area, but in the North Pole, it's spread out over a very large area. The lower energy you have and it's spread out over a wider area, what happens is it has a lower temperature. The angle of incidence is low, not only that, angle incidence is low and the heat from the sun is spread out over a wide area. That is why if we look at the temperature at the poles, it is always quite low. Not only that, it can go from minus 20 all the way very most up to 0 degrees. Not only that, latitude also explains to us the seasons as well. That is why if we go back to our previous slide, you will notice this. In summertime, in the north, like in winter time, at the North Pole itself, what you will get is almost perpetually no sun at all during winter time in the North Pole. But if it rotates all the way around during the North Pole during the summertime, what you will get is a very short period of night time. And this has to do with latitude and the way the Earth rotates around the sun. Okay, with that I'm done. Please complete the cosmology work assigned to you and please fill in the blanks of your notes. Thank you very much.